Welcome to Builders of Africa podcast. I'm Obafela Killer. This is where we sit with the people building the future of Africa, get into their real playbook, what they built, how they grew it, and what they've learned the hard way. My guest today is Ahmed Yahia, a Cairo-based entrepreneur, the CEO of Danta Carts, and the founder behind SURGiA, a B2B health tech marketplace helping hospitals and clinics source medical supplies through a more streamlined procurement and supply chain system. He's worked across engineering and business development for years, and through these platforms, Ahmed is taking a problem most people don't notice until it breaks. How hospitals and clinics procure essential supplies, avoid stockings, and build supply chains they can actually rely on, including how smaller providers can access what they need through larger systems and financing. Ahmed's background spans civil engineering, business development, and an MBA from the University of Leicester. And today, we're going to go deep on what it takes to build in a regulated, trust-heavy market like healthcare. Hi, Ahmed. Welcome to the Builders of Africa podcast.
Yeah. Hi, Killer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you for being
giving
here
me
today.
the opportunity. Yeah.
So, Ahmed, what is SORGIA in one sentence, and what is it for?
Okay. Good. SURGiA is building the digital infrastructure for healthcare supply chains in Africa. And we are doing this by connecting healthcare providers, regardless their size and regardless their locations, either in central areas or in remote areas. We connect them with the global suppliers and logistics companies and fintech and financing and banks and buy now pay later applications.
Okay. I want you to take us a bit backwards. What problem did you notice that pushed you to say, oh, you want to build something like this?
Yeah, actually, the story behind Sergia and Dentacards is a very personal story. My wife, she is a dentist, and
Wow.
she was struggling a lot, and have been once a victim of fake medical supplies.
Mhm.
And she was struggling because of the fake medical supplies itself and the access to market. So, as a master student, she was asked to treat real patients over 100 as real cases during her master, and she was very interested with the high quality products, either devices and instruments and materials under the dentistry category. And she was struggling because of sometimes the product is a real product, genuine product, and sometimes it's a fake product. And this impacted the patient safety, threaten their lives, and so on, and also affecting the quality of treatment itself. So this was the trigger and the first, thing
Problem.
that inspired us to start the journey. Yeah.
Wow.
After that,
Wow.
we started, actually, since I'm coming from the construction background, so I know nothing about at this time in 2016. Back in 2016, I know nothing about the healthcare supply chains and so on. We started to study, me and Saad, my co-founder, to study the industry itself, and we found that it's not a personal issue; it's a common issue especially across healthcare providers and healthcare facilities in our region, in Middle East and Africa.
Yes, I can actually testify to that. I'm in the healthcare space as well, and I can boldly say that I have seen that issue as well. And it can be quite challenging in a space that, it depends on trust. Because, this is people's lives. Let's not just call it healthcare. It's actually people's lives. Patients can die based off a single mistake. But for now, what was the first product or product or solution that you then created that, got adoption to be able to push this thing forward?
Yeah. Okay. We started with a very simple business model in dentistry. So we started across the healthcare specialties. We started with the dental domain with a very simple application that's connecting between the authorized dealers and the global suppliers with the small and medium healthcare facilities, and especially the dental clinics and dental centers, and even students, dental students, either undergrad or postgraduate students. So, and simply, we at that time in 2018, we were connecting between the authorized dealers and whoever, doctors, dentists, and so on, to secure an authentic, a wide range of authentic dental supplies. So this was
Wow.
the start. Yeah.
Wow. And from that, you've been able to come into where SURGiA is today, a whole marketplace,
Actually,
inventory and financing.
yeah. So we have like a strategy to expand across the medical supplies. Medical supplies have more than 2 million items and over 250 different medical categories. And to go one time and to cover every single category and to list every single item, it's impossible. So we have the strategy to penetrate the market and the medical diversity, vertical by vertical, specialty by specialty. And as of we are talking today, we are focused on more the 5 big medical specialties, medical verticals that represent almost 80% of the big portfolio.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know that SORGiA somehow connects financing into this, and I'm wondering, how does financing come into it?
Yeah, so this is how we developed our offering, actually. And instead of a very simple mobile application that's connecting the suppliers with doctors, it became like different applications and a whole ecosystem, and a 360 end-to-end healthcare supply chain ecosystem. The ecosystem strategy is built around connecting the stakeholders together. So the supply chain is not only the suppliers and healthcare providers. The supply chain contains other challenges, such as the liquidity itself. So if I'm as a hospital or a medical center and I want to buy these products, I don't have these the liquidity and the cash to buy this device, and I want to buy to upgrade my medical center and to offer new healthcare services and modern medical healthcare services. We started to offer to embedded the financing, the supply chain financing. And as of today, as we are talking today, we are connecting the healthcare providers with a wide range and multiple payment options and facilities and financing providers to cover each need based on the location, based on the medical center size itself, and so on. So that's why we act as an aggregator for a big portfolio of banks, buy now pay later applications to have a more diversity across the supply chain financing solutions we offer.
Wow, that's massive. I mean, it just grew from connecting to facilities of a facility to a supplier, and now it's a whole ecosystem. That's really great. But how do you then verify, the trust and quality on the supplier side? That was what started this whole thing, right? So how do you verify that the companies or the organizations supplying to you, how do you verify that?
Actually, we are very keen, and we are do a lot of efforts in this, and we are very keen to keep a direct relation with the mother companies. I mean, the manufacturers from all over the world. And by focusing on vertical by vertical, we can do this, and every single manufacturers global wise, they have authorized dealers in each market, each regions, and so on. So either we deal with those authorized dealers, for example, any X brand from US, from Europe, from Japan, even from China, from Pakistan and Turkey, and from all over the world, they have a listed authorized dealers. So you are dealing with either those listed authorized dealers, or in case they don't have authorized dealers or distributors in these areas, we act as an access to market for those brands.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually,
So if
this
they're
is
not
our
listed,
direction right now. This is our direction right now, especially in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, to have this direct relation with the global manufacturers.
so that means if they're not listed, then you do not work with them.
No, actually, we are dealing with the authorized dealers or directly with the global manufacturers themselves.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay. Let's talk about the markets, right? What would you say is the real buyer? Now you have the suppliers and you have the consumers. Who would you say is your real clients, the real internal champion?
The healthcare provider, doctors, they are our main customer. Either they are running their private clinics as an individual clinics, or they are working in small and medium hospitals and even big hospitals. But we have to fit with the procurement process in healthcare facilities. So healthcare facilities ranked based on their size, either level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depends on their size, the facilities they have, the equipment, the resources, and so on. So, and we have tailored our solutions and procurement and order management solutions to fit with the process itself. Sometimes the issue is not about the digital platform. The issue is about the systems, the process already. And in the majority of the cases we see and we noticed in Africa, the process itself is the issue. So we took a step back, and we started with providing and help them to design the process and to reflect this process in a digital platform that help them connecting and benefit from the ecosystem we and the stakeholders within our ecosystem.
And I'm asking this for those who are trying to enter the healthcare space. How long would you say realistically that how long is the sales cycle like? Because a lot of people have complained that healthcare, there's a lot of mistrust. So healthcare facilities find it hard to say they want to work with you. So how long does it usually take you for approval? And would you say that is now largely due to how far you've come? Maybe or would you say it's because of you're really solving a problem of theirs? Which would you say it is?
It depends a lot on the customer size and how complex is the procurement process inside the healthcare facility. So we have one scenario, which is a doctor running his private clinic. So the process is very, very fast, and sometimes it's fully digital. So without any offline, communication with the customer. So, and this is the first layer and the first customer segment we are talking about, the individual clinics, and we can reach them, onboard them, and they start to deal with our platform fully online, fully digital, with full digital experience. Then as we go to bigger size healthcare facilities, we have the hybrid model. So we reach them, and we at the first we reach them through the online different online platforms and tools, and then to close the deal and to close the onboarding, we have to visit them, and this is especially for the key accounts. This is number one. Number two, one of the challenges we have faced to educate the knowledge itself. So we found out that we have to educate the procurement people, doctors, and so on, the benefit from moving from the traditional way and brick and mortar way to the digital platform to manage your procurement, to manage, to help them in supply chain planning and supply chain forecasting and so on, which is a very big issue in our region, in Middle East and Africa.
Okay. I'm seeing the importance of physical presence when it comes to healthcare. I mean, as much as we're going more digital in healthcare, it's still a sensitive industry where some sort of physical presence is still usually needed. So with that, I would then ask, what channels have actually worked best for you? By channels, I mean sales channels. Is it direct sales, partnerships, referrals? What has worked best for you?
The best is a hybrid model between the digital activities and offline activities. For the digital activities, through the social media platforms, through the CRM tools, and so on, to create the awareness. And sometimes, as I mentioned, if it's a small clinic or individual clinics, it's continue to be onboarded fully online. The hybrid model is very important for the small and medium hospitals and little bit bigger facilities, and even for individuals. It's way better to see you as a brand, as SURGiA and as Dentacars on ground. And the most efficient way is two ways. The first way is exhibitions and conferences and scientific days and so on, to participate, to sponsor, to exhibit, and so on. This is number one. Number two, which is a very important and actually has a great added value, the capacity building programs we design. And this is a very important component in our offering. So we are not offering only medical supplies. We educate doctors how to use the modern medical treatment techniques, modern medical skills, and so on, so they can upgrade their skills to offer better offering to their patients, and even to make it more efficient and to add more healthcare services to their clinic.
You said something interesting now. You talked about education. And I personally have noticed a lot of the healthcare workers actually would love to be more educated when it comes to especially the digital platforms, because while they are professionals in their fields, a lot of them are new to some of these digital tools, right? And they need the education. And I want to ask, how serious do you think that education thing has contributed to maybe some contracts falling out? Right, maybe an hospital or clinic deciding that they don't want to go with you simply because they're not technically savvy, they're not used to digital products, and probably afraid that it could be a scam or something like that. Would you say that affects your?
Yeah, so that's why I mentioned being on ground is very, very important, for mainly for two reasons. Reason number one, to understand and to tailor what you are offering, and to have this kind of communication with your customer. This is number one. Number two, when you are on ground, the trust is coming. When it's coming, especially when you're associated with other well-known players and brands that already known for healthcare workers and so on. These give more trust that it's not a spam or a fake online platform. It's already we have our own team on ground communicating with doctors and so on. And I believe this at the first phase, giving them the trust. Then the process is continuing to be fully digitized. Even onboarding them for example, for financing solutions, for KYC, KYB, and so on. It's our target to be fully online and fully digitized, but especially at the first phase, while onboarding for the first time, sometimes it's a hybrid activity between online and offline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually see that now 100% because I've seen a lot of healthcare professionals or hospitals close contracts simply because there was no one on ground to be able to actually stay with them and build that trust. So at a point, maybe the slightest error, boom, they cut off the contract, and it
Yeah.
can be quite annoying. But aside the onboard the physical presence factor, what objections would you say come up a lot to, let's say you reach out to a clinic and you ask them, you pitch your service to them, or maybe one of your maybe you have a salesperson pitches the service to them. What would you say are the major objections that come up for them to say, oh no, we don't want to use SURGiA because of A, we don't want to use SURGiA because of B? And how do you respond to those objections?
Sometimes it's kind of um, being in the comfort zone. So already you used to follow this system or this behavior in purchasing. So this is the main challenge when we are talking about, especially when we started. 8 years ago. Maybe now it's way different and way easy.
Mhm.
But if we are talking about 8 years ago, and as a doctor or as a procurement, and I'm talking with you that you can secure your supplies and their procurement through the online platform, it wasn't accepted. Fully accepted as an idea. But when you are talking about the values, you are offering and selling your values, like the authentic medical supplies, the financing, the logistics, the delivery, and the quality of the products, and how easy you can access and to navigate across the whole market. And we are giving a light for you in these areas it was hidden, and you didn't see it before, and so on. They became okay, I will try. So the trust is, it's not from the first time. It's ongoing process to gain more and more trust with your customer. The main challenge is the source of the products. So how I can make sure that these products is genuine product or authentic supplies. Sometimes the payment. So they use to follow a kind of payment, and how we can replace these type and terms of payments to be fully digitized. So this is the second one. Also, sometimes most of the healthcare facilities, they are suffering from the healthcare, the supply chain planning and forecasting. So, and it's very weak. So sometimes they need these products now as an emergency case. So either they doubt about either you can fulfill this or not also.
Mm.
So those are the
Mm.
main concerns they have.
Wow. And while you were speaking of the constraints, you talked about operations. And I want to tie that, the operations to constraints, because a lot of founders, especially the entrepreneurs who are just starting out now, they have issues with operations, especially those who haven't raised funds yet. Yeah, they start to see fast that building the product was actually the easiest part, the
Mm.
financing, getting the clients, making them stay and not losing your clients, the trust you have to build, the reliability. They start to see, oh, okay, this is the real business, not the product. Yes, the product must work, but if the product is working and you have no clients, then what was the point of the product? So, for the founders who are just starting out, I'm wondering, what are the hardest operational constraints, at least for you? What would you say are the toughest operational constraints? Is it inventory, delivery, payments, maybe refunds, or maybe even fraud? Maybe you've ever been scammed, right? So what are the things that give you the hardest time?
Yeah. So all of the above. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So since we are talking about the operations, uh, I mean, the first lessons learned for us while we scale our operations and number of customers, number of suppliers, and being like a multi-sided platform is a very, very aggressive operations. So the lesson number one is, when you start, you should have the foundation of the automation. It should be automated. So since we are talking about digital solutions, so it doesn't make sense that we are building an online or a digital solution for our customers, and internally we don't have this kind of automation internally. And this is the biggest actually lessons we learned, and to have, at least from the beginning, to have the foundation and to scale as we go. The foundation of automation in terms of connecting between all functions. So the inventory, the logistics, the last mile, first mile, middle mile, customer support, salespersons, and all the I mean the relative departments uh, uh, to to manage the process. So you should design the process itself. I mean, and this is the basic, to have the process and to design the process and the relations between all departments. And you have the SPOs already, and reflect this in a internal digital platform that manage the functions and the tasks between all departments and all team members. So this is very, very important, and give you the opportunity to scale as you go. But this is very important to be considered even from day one, and to have the
Mm.
foundation. Yeah, the rest is, I mean, depends on each function. So sourcing, so it's a challenge. Sourcing in terms of the sourcing and the availability of the products in the market. It has its own, I mean, sourcing and the supply chain planning and management. It has its own, I mean, experience and different ways of how to secure these products, the fast moving products, either to have it at your, I mean, fulfillment center, or ready at your suppliers and so on. I mean, it's a big story, another story, but the main one is to plan for the automation, the internal operations automation from day one.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And just a confirmation, while you were speaking, you mentioned SPOs. I want to confirm if you meant SOPs or maybe there's
No,
something
sorry,
SPO.
yeah. The standard
SOPs.
operation
Okay, good.
procedures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
operation procedures. So
yeah.
those procedures, I noticed a lot of startups actually skip those, and then I see that they have problems when they try to scale, because now when they try to scale, because they don't have those SOPs, it affects their reliability and service quality, right?
Yeah.
And I want to know if that has ever happened to you, and maybe you are speaking from
Yeah.
experience.
Actually, what I'm telling you now as a lessons learned, we learn it in the hard way, the hardest way,
Wow, wow.
actually. So yeah, so we spend money, time, and efforts to come up with this. I mean, automation. So it wasn't actually when we started. We started as many other startups, focusing on sales, customer acquisition, make increase our customer base, and so on. But it wasn't actually the right way to start with. So that's why I'm telling you not to invest too much, but to consider this and to have the foundation of the operational automation, internal operations automation from day one.
Awesome, awesome.
Not to invest
Okay,
in this a lot at the beginning, but you invest and scale as we go.
okay, okay. All right. Let's move a bit to financing, right? SORGiA adds financing to, its ecosystem, right? And I did ask that earlier, but I want to know a bit more on that financing aspect. Why add financing? I mean, what problem does it unlock for facilities, right? Like, that's basically it.
Actually, both sides, I mean, the supply and demand, are suffering from the financing issues. So
Mm,
let's talk about the healthcare facility. They want to buy uh, either the consumables, the monthly supplies, or heavy and new equipments, new devices, new techniques, and so on, technology. They want to acquire this technology, and they have to pay millions to buy this. Devices, high value devices, whatever, and they want to pay, not to pay now. They don't have cash to pay now, or they have a cash flow issue within the facility itself.
yeah.
So this is one challenge. So they ask the suppliers to give them a payment facility up
Mm,
to 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and so on.
yeah.
From the other side, suppliers, they are suffering a lot with the payment collections. And as a by end of the day, they are traders, and they want to have their money not in their banks. I mean, or as a products, not their money is in the market in with the healthcare facilities. So, and sometimes, you know what? Sometimes they hire a full team dedicated for only collections, money collections.
Yeah.
Okay, the AR, the account receivables. So it's costly, risky. Uh, they want to make more cycles as a during the year, and to make a turnover many times across the year to gain more money. So I mean the challenge is for both sides. When we fill this gap by onboarding banks, the buy now pay later, or any financing institutes, we actually solve the problem for both sides. So the supplier, they have their money in cash within 2 weeks, and we handle on behalf of them. We handle the issue of the payment collections and so on. So they are happy, and they give us a bonus. So they give us an extra discounts and margins.
Yeah.
And from the other side, we give better payment terms to the healthcare facilities, so they can pay up to 5 years. And they both already, and we enable them to buy these kind of modern devices and technology and so on, and they start to generate revenues, and since they are giving more healthcare services, so generate more revenues, and they can pay back to whatever the financing institute. So this is the idea. within, to make it embedded supply chain financing within our ecosystem.
Okay, that's actually an amazing idea. And before I ask my next question, I want to confirm: is that idea live now?
Yeah.
Really?
For more than 5 years, actually.
Good, good. All right.
Yeah.
Because when you mentioned that is the idea, right? I wanted to be sure if it's still an idea or something launched,
This
right?
was the idea. Yeah.
Okay. So my question now is: I have seen healthcare or health tech organizations, companies, have problems with this, where they collect from the supplier, give to the hospital, and the hospital pays them over time. The problem I've seen is that some of these healthcare facilities do not pay on time or at all, or maybe there's some sorts of delays. Does it like get annoying for you? And how do you navigate that?
Actually, we as a platform, we do not offer this kind of financing directly from our balance sheet. Okay, so we rely on our partners, our financing partners like banks and buy now pay later to offer this. So the healthcare facilities, in our case, they have two options: either to pay through the network of banks and buy now pay later and have the facilities, or to pay in cash. This is number one. Number two, all markets everywhere, there is a list of a blacklist healthcare facilities, and we are not dealing with them. Only
Wow.
we are dealing with them, in cash. Even we do not offer them the financing options because they will not pay. So it will not be as a credibility for us to sell them, to sell to them. Yeah.
These blacklist facilities, do you mean your blacklist, or is there like a global blacklist?
No, in the market. It's known in the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Okay. You seem to be having the hang of the financing thing as well. That's amazing. I mean, that's what ATS does, right?
Yeah.
That's what ATS does. But now let's talk more on your lessons and mistakes. We've talked about the operations and things. Let's talk about lessons and mistakes. I know it's been 8 years, but do you think you can recall the biggest mistake you made in the first year that you started this? The first year you are new to it, you're still learning the ropes with your co-founder. Oh, this is the biggest mistake you made, and you're like, oh, why did I do this? If only I had known. What was that mistake?
Look, there are many actually operational lessons learned in the operation side. Okay, either operational, I mean across all functions, even sales and marketing. So we are paying a lot to acquire customers, new customers, for example. This was a mistake from the sales and marketing, spending a lot in events, in online campaigns, and so on. So, I mean, from marketing and sales operational side, we have a lot of lessons learned. From the logistics and the supply chain side, we have many. I would like to highlight the biggest, actually, lesson we had. But before this, I would like to mention that SURGiA is my third company I founded. So I founded two companies before. So it's not my first company. But in SURGiA, I have a very different and unique experience. The first two companies were a traditional company, an engineering firm. And the other one, it was specialized in chemical treatments in construction and so on. So it was little bit a traditional way of businesses. This is the first time for me within the startup ecosystem. And since we are talking about the startup ecosystem, and this is the lessons we learned. the lessons is to state the lesson: do not fundraise to still alive, fundraise to expand. And actually, due to the uncertainty and instability of the global situation, and especially in our region and Middle East and Africa, being and depending on fundraising to still alive is very risky, very, very risky. So that's why the lessons that we learned is to fundraise to expand while you have a healthy business, even if it's a very small business. I mean, if we started, for example, in Egypt, and we focus in a city across Egypt, one city, so we should have a very healthy business in this area that's sustainable and can grow even, I mean, gradually, without relying on the fundraising. So this is very important, actually, and we have met and got in contact with many investors, either local, regional, global, and so on, and relying on, especially during the last 5 years, and I mean even from for now, for the current situations, relying on fundraising just to operate and to still alive is very risky. And many companies, many startups closed because of this. And even the ones who already fundraised millions and tens of millions of US dollars, but the plan was, to burn out, to grow at whatever value and whatever cost, just to grow and to fundraise, grow and fundraise. And this is actually, I believe, many startups and many new companies failed because of this, because of this playbook, actually. So mixing between scaling your business and keep it live is very important, actually. I mean,
Wow.
make it, I mean, healthy, sustainable business and to scale. It's a little bit a hard equation, but this is very important when you are when you have an intention to build something and continue.
This is a hard one, right? And you can see that even I went quiet because that was something very deep. Do not fundraise to stay alive, fundraise to expand. And it brings to me it begs the question that what about the companies that believe they need fundraising to move ahead, right? What happens to them? What alternative would you say they should take? Would you say maybe grants? Would you say maybe if they cannot find clients, then perhaps they don't have a business? Or would you say maybe they should do something with angels and family? The I think it's FFA, family, friends, and angels. That's called sometimes. Different people call it different things. Well, what would you say to those startups, especially the younger ones like myself, that believe that they need that fundraising to actually be able to move forward?
Yeah, at the start you have to fundraise. I mean, there is no business, as per my experience, will not start with even a proper capital. So anyway you will fundraise. It depends on the scale of the business. So at the start you should, I mean, you will fundraise and you should manage this fundraising very wise to pass the product market fit milestone. So the most critical milestone is the product market fit. That's including the validation of the whole business model. And this is very important and the most critical, actually, milestone. When you pass this milestone, you may do not need to fundraise again. You will fundraise to scale. As I mentioned, the first milestone, which is the product market fit, you can test it in a very small village, for example. In a city, I mean, whatever, but it's in a very limited geography and very selective customer segment and so on. When you pass this, you have to plan that you don't have any source of fundraising, and you since you proved and validate the business model and you passed the milestone of the product market fit, either to grow very slow based on the traction you have and so on, or to fundraise to scale more quickly, more fast. So this is the point.
That important. That's the most critical milestone, the product market fits. And I couldn't agree more. That is indeed the most critical milestone. Let's not spend too much time on that. I believe people might have questions on that, but we'll see. Um, but when it comes to healthcare can be a shock to people who are new to it, and I'm glad that you're one of the people that you are an entrepreneur who is or who was new to healthcare when you started. While there can be some entrepreneurs who, maybe they were a doctor or a nurse or they were related in the healthcare field in a sort of way, there are lots of entrepreneurs who are new to that space, right? So what would you say surprised you the most about selling to healthcare institutions? Your biggest shocker about maybe their mindset or the way sales are done, what surprised you the most?
They are very technical people. And I'm talking here about not doctors who practice only, treatments, operations, and so on, but I'm talking about doctors who own the facility, the clinic, and so on. They are very technical, and they need a lot of education and knowledge about how to run a business. By end of the day, especially in the private, even in the private and the mission hospitals, both of them, they should understand very well many business aspects to sustain and to keep growing their business, even if it's non-profit organization, but it should follow the same, knowledge and aspects and business rules to sustain and to continue. So this is this is the missing part, I believe, and I believe the response is very good from doctors who appreciate this. Yeah, especially, especially clever doctors. They consider themselves, they are very clever. Okay, you are very clever technically as a doctor, but you are not clever in business. So you should educate yourself, about the business and how to run the business, the clinic and the facility itself.
Yeah, I get that. I've seen some doctors even tell you how your product should work and tell you that I'm sure it should be easy to do this and that. I'm like, but that's not your job. You're not a businessman. You're not a developer. You're a doctor. So, I mean, yeah, that's an interesting take. Now let's talk about the future of SURGiA. What would you say winning looks like for you in the next 1 to 2 years, 12 to 24 months? What big things would you say people watching this should expect to see from SURGiA?
Yeah. Actually, we are working now on a very interesting operating model for healthcare facilities, especially in rural areas. As you know, the majority of the population in sub-Saharan Africa are living in remote areas, and rarely they have a proper access to a proper healthcare, even the basic healthcare services. What we are working on now, we call it a clinic in a box operating model. So we can improve the outreach of the mission hospital, the non-profit hospitals, and even private hospitals, and the public as well, in to these remote areas, to enhance what they are offering, and to use a professional devices instead of non-professional devices and the home care devices, to use a professional devices to provide the essential and the main and the basic healthcare services. Let me give you an example. In last March, we joined a mission hospital in Kenya, in Kitui County, and we joined them and we supported their outreach activity with a very few portable devices. One of them are the portable ultrasound device. And it was for the first time in this area, a pregnant woman to see and to receive a proper follow-up while she's pregnant, and to see her baby inside her body before the delivery. And it was the first time in the history in this area. So that's why the numbers are and the insights statistics about Africa, for example, 70%, that Africa accounts 70% of the global maternal death. 70% of the global. So this is I mean, our mission right now, to support the healthcare facilities and to build the digital infrastructure of the healthcare supply chain across Africa, regardless. So the patient receive a proper healthcare services, regardless their location.
Oh, well, that's great. That's really amazing, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. It sounds amazing. Yeah. All right, Ahmed. We're going to have to wrap here. Thank you for being so generous and specific. I really appreciate you sharing the real insights, the real mechanics behind SURGiA, especially around trust, procurement, and what it actually takes to build a reliable healthcare supply chain in our context as Africans. My big takeaways from these conversations are, yeah, this is definitely my number one. Do not fundraise to stay alive, fundraise to expand. And fundraise to expand while you have an LTV finance, right? And my second big takeaway is when you spoke about the most critical milestone being the product market fit. A lot of people think that it's more complicated than, I mean, of course, business is tough. Nothing good comes easy, as we say, right?
Right.
But once you get that product market fit, it starts to become clearer. The next steps start to become clearer. And that's amazing that people are able to take that away from here today. So, but before we end, two quick ones, very quick ones. One is, where is the best place for people to follow your work? Should they check out SURGiA, Cards, or both? Where would be the best place you would say they should check that out?
Yeah, actually, our website, sergia.co. And the LinkedIn profiles, either SURGiA LinkedIn profile, my personal LinkedIn profile. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to make sure to tag that when this episode comes out.
Yeah.
And finally, if there's something you want someone to remember, just one line from this episode, what would you say that thing should be?
The healthcare supply chain infrastructure. Yeah, the infrastructure actually in healthcare supply chain and in healthcare in general is very important. In Africa, I mean.
Yeah. Ahmed, thanks again. And really rooting for what you're building. I can't wait to see what comes out in the next year, 2 years. Once again, thank you for being on this session. And to those watching, I'm Abafela Killer. This is the Builders of Africa podcast. And can't wait to see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Thank you, Kila. Thank you so much.